All right, Chris Hall here for Dogs on Demand on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and all those other places where you can find our program. And it's good to have the McLemore boys, John and John the second or John Jr. Now,
Depends on it.
To
Well, it depends on who you ask. If you ask my mom, she clarifies the second. So I don't know why that's a big deal, but it is.
Yeah, if you
let's
ask
go
your
with
mom,
mom.
it's John Boy.
That's true.
Oh, and of course, if you're friends, fans of Fox and Friends on the Fox network, like I am, you recognize these guys. Every Friday now for the next foreseeable future, you guys are going to be in New York City, cooking
That's
up
right.
for Fox and Friends. But first of all, thank you for coming on our program today.
Thank you for having us.
We really appreciate it. Well, tell me a little bit. Tell me a little bit about your story. Now, you guys are in Columbus, Georgia, and I was reading you are food and barbecue pit experts. Now, how in the world do you become something like that? Tell us your story of how you got started.
I'll let you start, Dad.
Am I going first?
Yeah, you go first.
Well, first of all, thank you for having us on the show. And we love going to New York, but we love coming back to Georgia every single week.
Yeah.
And we get asked a lot about our story, and it has been one that God has blessed us with for sure. We've been in the cooking business for about 50 years.
Wow.
My dad, Dawson McLemore, founded our company. And a really quick story about that, it used to be called M&M Welding, and my dad needed to change the name of the company, looking for a really good brand. We were a faith-based company, and my dad said a prayer to God. He said, "You're the master, I'm the builder. If you will help us run this company, we'll name it after you," which is where the name Masterbuilt came from. So for 5 decades, that's been in our family. We have always cooked. I learned recipes from my mom. I fried fish and did recipes in the backyard with my dad. John came along, and once things started happening, my dad retired at an early age. I became an owner of the company when I was 18, right out of high school. So it's all I've done all my life. And being third generation, John and I have worked together now for the past 15 years. Yeah. And it has really been a roller coaster ride, a great journey. Wouldn't trade it for nothing in the world. But that's really what got us into cooking. And to be an expert, you just got to do something twice. And we've cooked more than twice. So here we are today.
Yeah, I don't know if somebody necessarily wakes up and goes, "I'm going to be a pit master or a barbecue master." I think it's just something that you grow up doing, or you find interesting to do on the side. It's like some of the pit masters you see nowadays that started the social media side of their business that's now grown 15 years ago. It's a hobby.
Yeah.
And they do it enough and love it enough that they turn into their own kind of experts. So we've just been doing it for so long. It's all I've ever known. I've only ever been around the backyard grilling and smoking. And I loved it from day one. And since we've sold the business, Dad and I started this McLemore Boys journey, which we didn't know what that would be. And it's turned into such a blessing and opportunity to be on Fox and Friends every Friday. And we get to do what we love, and to kind of get paid for it here and there, hopefully, is, blessing. So,
yeah.
Now, how come you guys are not as big as a battleship? Because if I were doing what you were doing, I would be constantly sampling. And so how do you stay trimming the skin? Okay, there we go.
Well, if you, I keep a blood pressure machine around because my cholesterol is probably higher than it should be.
Right.
But
moderation.
Yeah, moderation.
There you go.
Moderation. We ask that a lot because we do cook basically everywhere we go, and we do have to kind of pace ourselves when we do eat. And you mentioned Fox and Friends, and we going up there every Friday. The one thing that we love about what we do is doing things like this. Out there, when we go to New York every week, we meet a brand new band. every week, different people every week. And we love sharing our stories and recipes and would not trade it for nothing in the world. And what better way to do things than around food?
And one thing I was going to say is what people don't normally see the other side of what we do as a family is we run some farms here in our local hometown. So we're constantly outside on a tractor, somewhat getting your hands dirty and working. So I'd like to think that balances out the really poor eating that we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you. Well, tell me how you got the gig with Fox and Friends. I mean, it's an amazing thing, amazing opportunity for you guys. So exactly how did that come about?
I'll let you kind of start. Like, where did it start? 20 years ago.
So back in the mid '90s, when we were, developing new products, our company's always been known for being really innovative and coming out with something that's never been done before. So as that would happen, I had a somewhat limited relationship with the folks at Fox News. I'd call them up and say, hey, I want to come up and do a recipe, around maybe Thanksgiving or Christmas. They'd invite me to come up and do it. I'd do that maybe once a year. And then the early 2000s came around and we developed a new product that allowed people to safely fry a turkey. So Fox invited us up to, present that and show people how to do it without burning their houses down. And
so quick tie back to where the McElroy's name came from is during that time frame, my dad and my Uncle Don, who were 50-50 partners, they sort of kind of had this coined nickname, the Turkey Fryer Boys. For a long time because they were the only ones that knew how to safely deep fry a turkey. So
So we go from the mid '90s, here and there to the mid 2000s, and develop some great relationships with people that over the years were promoted within Fox, and that turned into us going to instead of once or twice a year, doing it 4 or 5 times a year at the beginning. We'd go do Super Bowls, we'd go to Daytona. And then the 2002 season rolled around, and we had now been with Fox for over 25 years.
2022. Is that what you mean?
What did I say, 2002?
Yeah.
It's all a blur now.
I got you.
Yeah, 2022 season rolled around, and John and I were no longer financially attached to Masterbuilt. We had sold the company, and we were developing our own brand and doing as much as we could out there. Masterbuilt was one of our companies that we were brand ambassadors for, and that was perfect because we were the brand ambassadors or the family founders of that brand. And Fox just calls us up one day, and this is fresh in my mind because I'm writing this story as we speak for a cookbook that we're coming out with next year.
It's a quick plug. We're coming out with a cookbook next year.
So it is May 17th, 2022. And Fox calls us. It's a Tuesday. And they said, hey, how would y'all like to come cook for us for the summer concert series? And we're like, what does it involve? They said, we need y'all to be up here every Friday and cook for 150 VIPs, the host of the show, and the band members. And we's like, sure.
And we normally are the kind of guys that are like, yeah, sure. We say yes, and all right, let's figure it out. And then we realized that this was 9 days or something ridiculous prior to us going to New York every Thursday, Friday. And we're like, how are we going to pull this off? And that's somewhat of our specialty, Chris, is doing large cooking related events, going back to the tailgating days, going to football games, as a kind of a cross back to, y'all being sports focused. We love tailgating and home gating, as we sometimes call it. But that's kind of our specialty, is doing large food related events. Our house, my mom and dad's house, is the house to go to if there's an event, a holiday, a sporting event, what have you. So us cooking for large crowds of people is kind of what we do. Over the years, Fox kind of had gravitated to us being their go-to guys to say, hey, we want to do something big. We want to do something fun. We want to include food as a part of it. And we know you guys are good on camera. Could you pull this off? And we went into it not knowing what it could turn into. And it turned into us being on we do a social media related deal with Fox and Friends on Instagram and Facebook every Thursday and then Friday morning. And then we're on the show from 6 to 9, Fox and Friends Friday morning, and then some Saturdays and Sundays if we stay over. And it just blossomed into it. To your question, it's like, how did y'all end up with that gig? To be honest, when we first went live, the first Friday concert last year, we were like, what are we going to do? I was like, I don't know. Let's high five and do something crazy.
And
the producers
great.
loved it. And they're like, who in the heck are these rednecks looking on like national television? And I was like, man, y'all messed up. Y'all messed up letting us on camera. Because
I got to tell you. Yeah, I got to tell you, you guys are great. I mean, you're natural. You communicate very well. You look like you're having a ball, you know, and
we are.
You guys are really great. And I'm so excited to meet you because I see you every Friday, and that's cool. Well, what do? You get up there on Thursday. Do you cook all night on Thursday night to get ready for Friday morning? That's a lot of cooking to get ready that early in the morning.
It is.
Yeah. So this would be the moment in time where we try to tell the truth or skate around and let everybody think that we stay up all night long. We absolutely have to have help when we go travel and do what we do. So we do have a wonderful lady and her daughter that lives about an hour and a half from New York in Pennsylvania. And they help us prepare the food.
She's a long-time QVC chef and food stylist that we had built a relationship back in the day.
Yeah.
So really talented.
We developed the recipes with Sarah, and her daughter help us get the food. They help us get it prepared to a certain stage. They bring it to New York, and then on Friday morning, we get together and we finish it off and serve to the VIPs at about 7:30 or 8 o'clock.
It's not realistic, you know. People put the math together for us to fly from Georgia to New York and cook for 150 people every Friday. So she does. She helps us food prep and bring the food because she's driving in. You know, but Dad and I develop all the content. We develop the recipes that are posted each week that are the hero recipes, and we collaborate with her on them. And so we can't do it without help.
You know, it's just really great. Now I got to ask you a question that my wife said I had to ask. Okay.
Okay.
She said, what are the people, you know, at Fox and Friends like? You know, Steve Ducey and Ainsley and the crew, Brian. What are they like? Are they as nice as they appear on television?
I will tell you, that is why we love going to New York every single Friday. Steve Ducey is going to be involved. I've written 2 recipes for 2 of his cookbooks. He is a great friend. Ainsley is as sweet of a personality as you see on
She
TV.
gives everybody a hug.
Super genuine.
Well, she's a Southern girl. She's a Southern girl.
A South Carolina girl.
She's gonna hug.
Yeah. We actually send Ainsley home with some extra barbecue every Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Brian, he's the one that we had to figure out, and he's the one that we're growing to love more and more. He is the smartest, hardest working guy.
It's insane how hardworking and focused he is, and how incredibly brilliant he is. So.
Our goal is to get Brian to eat on camera because he just will not eat.
He's never eaten on camera, and our goal at some point is to be the ones to get him to eat. Yeah. But I'll tell you real quick, Chris. The anchors and the co-hosts and the people you see on TV, they're all as great as they come. But part of what I love, because part of my job sort of with the McLemore boys is I'm somewhat collaborating with sort of the Fox team on a weekly basis in terms of travel, in terms of content, working with their social teams, etc. And part of why we love working with Fox is all of Fox. It's not just the people you see on TV, but from their producers to their line producers, the associate producers to
security,
the security door to the people that help us come in and out each day. Everybody there is so fun, and they make it a great working environment. So
I'll tell you, Rick Wrightmute, who is the weatherman, he is a dear friend. I actually sit on a board and help him in some areas with him. Carly Shimkus is an absolute pleasure of a person to be around. We actually spent a little bit more time with her as we're going up there. And we had the privilege this last Friday to meet Kaylee McEnany.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And oh wow,
As awesome as they come,
yeah, she was awesome as well.
yeah.
And before we get out of the Friday deal, because I could go on forever. And what's your wife's name, by the way?
Aris, Aris.
Aris.
Yes,
Aris.
Aris. Right.
So tell her that the weekend crew is also amazing.
Yeah, Pete, Will, Rachel,
Rachel,
Joey, Lawrence, all those guys.
Yeah.
And they're, just so you know, Chris, they're awesome enough that if you didn't see my Instagram post, Mark, or one of the security guys, actually tasered me. I challenged him. They actually do legitimately keep tasers.
Yeah.
So if you try to break into Fox, they do keep tasers.
New York City. Oh, yeah.
I challenged him. I said, Mark, you can't tase me. You're not going to get me. And I got distracted, and he tased me on the backside. So there's an Instagram post. So they love me enough that they tase me.
Yeah.
You know, I love the setup with Skillet. I love Skillet. You know, I got a gray hair, bald head, but I love Skillet.
He was great.
Yeah. John.
How cool is it to meet these, the bands that come in and that kind of thing? Do you have a favorite story about some of those guys?
Flow Rida. My biggest, the first thought that comes to mind is last year's Flow Rida concert. Because you would think, I mean, you know, initial thoughts is rap artist, Fox News, and he was as awesome, as genuine, as conversational as they come. And he put on an hour-plus concert and threw down throughout, in and out of the commercial breaks and obviously live, hits that he did.
Yeah.
He had people on his shoulders. He was high-fiving kids. He came down to the crowd. And then there was this viral photo that they had go viral on the internet of him holding our tomahawk steak, and I was like, "That's the coolest thing in the world."
Well, it wasn't the steak; it was the $8,000 shirt he had on.
That's probably true.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! I can't imagine an $8,000 shirt.
Oh well, the steak was $7,000.
Oh my goodness!
I'll tell you my favorite story really quick. We met We the Kingdom.
Yeah.
And
oh yeah,
they were absolutely amazing. And Ed Cash was telling me a story because he and I had a connection with here in Columbus, Georgia, or in Harris County where we live. Alan Levi is a dear friend of ours, and he and Ed go way back.
Yeah.
And so we were able to FaceTime with them, from New York back to Columbus. And then they sang "Happy Birthday" to John.
That's the one concert I've missed. That was my
concert
birthday
that he missed. So
they
were amazing.
I tell you though, in most of our, we come in contact with these bands. They're all so gracious. They're awesome. I'm grateful to Fox and the opportunities. So we've had great experiences, Chris.
Yeah, I love the fact that they have some faith-based, band coming in, and for
New York City needs it.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Gracious.
So, another question my wife wanted me to ask you now is, how do you come up with these recipes and new recipes? Because I know you have to have like fresh content,
Mm-hmm.
So how do you come up with recipes? And do you just kind of sit down sometime and say, "Hey, we can do that with corn," or we can do that with this, that, and the other? So how do you do that?
It's about like I would imagine how a coaches meeting goes sometimes. It's understanding personnel and what you have, and it's understanding our personalities and going, looking at our audience and going, what's something that hasn't really been done, or maybe something that's been done and we could add our own Southern Macklemore Boys flair to it. It's hard, and we got some friends of ours that are really high level influencers in the barbecue world that have a big following, and the challenge that they talk to us about is how you come out with something every single day that hadn't been done in the food world. It's nearly impossible to not have done it all. It's kind of like writing music. It's kind of like coming up with plays. There's only so many different plays, but sometimes what does help attract people is your own flair to it, how you came up with it and why you came up with it and where the story came from. So
And two, a lot of business with Lane's Barbecue. Ryan Lane is a dear friend. He's helped us with the concerts up there. His barbecue rubs and sauces are amazing.
And we've learned more from him, cooking with him, and him, you know, giving us tips on, you know, everybody thinks that we cook the best brisket, and yet the best brisket I think we've ever cooked is with Ryan.
Yeah. And in our cookbook, we've named some of the recipes after the friends that we've met. We've got family members that are littered throughout. Yeah. I wrote 3 cookbooks in the past 10 years, and this one, we haven't written one since 2014, so we're excited about this one coming out. And our family was as involved as we needed them to be. So family recipes, friends that we've met along the way, and just things that we've cooked all of our lives.
I tell you, it's like tailgating. I mean, how many times have you come up on a tailgate and you go, why are they cooking that? Or what are they? And then you take that and you spin off your own idea. Everybody's got their own flair. So some of that's just creative juices, you know, and hanging out with people. So
you know, I love the things you do with macaroni and cheese early in the morning. I get tickled about that, you know, say, okay, you're going to eat that this early in the morning, macaroni and cheese, but
every Friday.
Good. Yeah.
Well, the funny thing about that, Chris, is people are like, you're eating barbecue at 7:38 in the morning. I'm like, well, you don't realize we've been up since 2, so it's really after lunch.
I got you. I understand. Well, you know, you mentioned tailgating, and of course, you know, well, we love the University of Georgia, and I understand your dad needs some prayer because he might be a Bama fan, but that's okay. You know, we're gracious around here.
SEC, baby.
There you go. You know, tailgating and football go together. So
that's right.
Tell me your go-to menu for a good tailgating at Sanford Stadium or in Tuscaloosa.
Mine?
What's your go-to menu?
Chicken wings, man. I am a chicken wing snob. We've done one of the recipes we just recently did for this concert series is a burnt-in chicken wing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's essentially a swing, and then it's griddled off with some sauce. Is the simplest way I can put it. And so you get a smoked wing, but it's charred and seared on the outside, kind of like a griddled recipe would be. And to me, they're fun to do for tailgating because you can do a large batch, especially if you're doing that style. You can smoke 1 million wings together, and they're good finger foods.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I've got 2. Boston butt is going to be my go-to because it feeds a lot of people. We do Boston butt sliders.
Once you get the pork, you can do 1 million different things with it.
Yeah. And we do slaw dogs with them. We do sliders. We serve it as just an entree. But I tell you a fun thing to do that's really inexpensive to do, and we did it in Daytona at the Daytona 500 race this past year. And this recipe is actually making our cookbook. Is right next door to us was the Travis team.
This is a good one.
And these guys showed up with 200 hot dogs because one of the sponsors that Travis had for the race day and that weekend was a beef hot dog supplier. So these guys had 200 of the biggest hot dogs I'd ever seen. No grill, no buns, no condiments, nothing. And they said, we're going to go to maybe Walmart and buy a $15 grill and grill them on the ground.
We were like, Travis Pastrana, let me cook for you. I was like, darn.
So we took their hot dogs. They did go to the store and come back about 4 hours later with some things that we could serve them with. Yeah. But while we were waiting, we smoked the hot dogs at about 225 degrees, literally for about an hour and a half. So we got smoke-infused flavor into these hot dogs, and then we cut them into 1.5-inch pieces and put them on a really hot griddle with barbecue rub and barbecue sauce.
Wasn't it a mixture of like the Lane's hot chicken wing and then hot chicken leg and then the white sauce, right?
The white sauce. And basically developed, to your question earlier about how we come up with these recipes, this was an accidental recipe that we did that's going to make the cookbook, and we turned it into hot dog burnt-in bites.
And
amazing.
It's a great toothpick for food. And the weird thing about it is, like, to your point, how many more different ways can you do a hot dog? And we stumbled upon this kind of accidental recipe, and Travis Pastrana said that's the best hot dog I've ever had in my life. and you're like, a hot dog. Well, so sometimes you stumble into the good ideas.
Yeah.
That sounds great. Now, I'm wondering, during football season, you start off and it's hot, in the season, the weather is hot. Well, you wind up and it's cold. Is there a difference in what you should cook when it's hot as opposed to cold? I mean, does the weather have any kind of effect on maybe what you want to do for tailgating?
I think the way I answer that is the technique and how people cook changes most of the time, which does somewhat determine what you cook. But people go from grilling to smoking typically because you're not standing in front of a grill. You're kind of outside putting food on, come back inside and letting it smoke. Going outside, getting your food, come back inside. So the technique, and you can grill and smoke the same kind of meats. It's just the technique. So I think sometimes it's just people deciding to transfer somewhat from grilling to sort of smoking.
And the colder it gets, the more people want maybe a comfort food, like a really good stew. And we've got a really good barbecue Brunswick stew. Yeah. We got a new recipe that's called bunny and dumplings.
Oh, okay.
Let that one sink in for a minute.
Yeah, okay.
So that recipe actually came from, I don't even remember what year it was, but I went on the Steve Harvey show and did a show with him called Tastes Like Chicken. Yeah. And they challenged me to do 4 different wild games. Yeah. And Steve had to try to guess what the recipe was. And we took the chicken and dumpling recipe and changed it out with smoked or grilled rabbit instead of
and he had
chicken.
To guess, but
and it is really good. So that's a brand new recipe this year that we got the idea from cooking rabbit with Steve Harvey 10 years ago.
Yeah, did he guess it? Did Harvey guess?
He didn't guess the rabbit. He guessed the frog legs and the snake.
He didn't guess turtle, and he didn't guess bunny.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so you cooked snake. Is that right?
We cooked snake. We just
killed two snakes today out in the woods.
Yeah. So we should have brought them home.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did turtle in a gumbo. Instead of a seafood gumbo, we did a turtle meat in a gumbo. He missed that one, but he did get the frog legs and he got the snake.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
And he's a great guy. Steve was fun to work with.
Yeah, well, he seems, you will watch these guys on television and you say, okay, they're great before the camera. What are they like, behind the scenes? And I can imagine, that they're people like us, but they have that platform that they're on. You're carrying up north Southern style cooking. How is it received up in New York? I know everybody enjoys it on Fox and Friends, but Southern cooking, you take it up north. What do our friends up north think about that?
So it's about like when we open our mouth and they hear our accent and they go, it's like boiled peanuts. We had boiled peanuts, and Northerners apparently don't eat boiled peanuts. Okay. I don't know if I understand it because we love it. It's just a Southern thing. I think sometimes you can smoke mac and cheese, and it's just like, I don't know if it's somewhat of a cultural thing or whatever, but I think most of the time they're pleasantly surprised because most people that we work with and come in contact to, they kind of contextually they know what we're doing. And know that kind of part of our gig is to do big food and fun food. So they're normally game. They're down to try it. Yeah. And 9 times out of 10, hopefully it's good enough that they are pleasantly surprised. So I'd like to think that they normally like it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what have you picked up? Yeah. What have you picked up from the folks up north that you've brought south? Have you picked up anything from that end that you've brought down south and say, hey, we like that. Let's bring it home. What do you think?
I would say from Sarah, who lives in Pennsylvania, we've done some really good street corn with her, which we've always done out here anyway.
But just it has a different flair to it.
Skirt steak tacos. Is a recipe that she's all about. Yeah. This was a Southern thing for us, but it's something that they always do up there with a nacho bar,
Mm-hmm.
and the nacho bar did it for Super Bowl.
Talk about a good tailgate.
That is a great
Oh,
tailgate thing to do.
Yeah.
You basically get an 8-foot fold-out table for the tailgate, and you pre-smoke your barbecue so that you got it ready to pull and to put out there.
And you just lay it all
you
on the table.
serve pulled chicken, pulled pork. You can put hamburger out there if you want to, sausage, and all the nacho fixings, cheeses, and every kind of fix you think of. And you surround everything with the chips on the table and just let everybody dive in.
I tell you, Chris, one thing that I've learned in my travels, not per se specifically up north, but just in our travels, is it's somewhat like the pocket that you have a tendency to be in. It's just what you grew up cooking. And you just don't think about different ways of cooking or different things you could cook. And it's like coaches' tendencies. Whether you're a defensive-minded head coach or an offensive-minded head coach, you have tendencies and things that you go to. And the things that we come in contact with is just a variety of, like growing up in Georgia, I would imagine pulled pork is the majority of what you would probably lean towards versus brisket. It's not that you don't like brisket. It's just not a normal thing as a Georgian to do. So in our travels, you come across just a variety of different things to do, which is what's kind of cool with what we do. So
that's cool. Now I'm waiting for the day, and we'll close out. But I'm waiting for the day when you guys take chitlins up north to New York City. Have you?
We need to.
Have you? I mean, but don't tell them what it is. Tell them it's some kind of a delicacy or something.
Yeah, just we say when you eat that, just don't smell it.
Yeah, that's stump slung, streamed, washed, and stump slung. That's what we used to say.
Yeah.
And those after
we've taken our collards up there, but we have not taken chitlins up there.
Yeah. You might want to think about that one because you may get fired from your gig if you do that. Well, listen.
Well, I was going to say real quick, Chris. If we don't get fired after what we're going to do this Friday, and you'll tune in to watch.
Oh no!
If we don't get fired, we're stepping it up a notch this Friday. So if we don't get fired this Friday from what we're about to do, then I'd like to think that we're a shoo-in Fox crew. So
who's
like us.
Who's the concert this Friday? Who's doing the concert?
Elevation Worship.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there you go. Wonderful.
It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, that's
This week we're doing a blueberry fatty.
A blueberry fatty. Okay.
A blueberry fatty. So we're not going to tell you the recipe. You got to watch.
Okay.
So go to Macklemore Boys, the Macklemore Boys Instagram and Facebook to get those recipes.
I got you. Well, and speaking of that, give us some contact information for you guys if anyone wants to look you up, and also about your cookbook that's coming out. How can folks get in contact with you?
Yeah, so you can check us out. TheMacklemoreBoys.com is our website, or The Macklemore Boys on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the social medias. It is me who runs it, and we got a guy that helps us with it. So we try to be as responsive as possible, but all of our recipes and content are out there. The cookbook is not technically a secret, but there's not information out there yet. So that release will come later this year. But we do have a cookbook coming out, hopefully May of 2024, with Macklemore Boys and Fox and Friends. So stay tuned for that, guys. Thank you.
Quickly, what can you do with peanut butter? Tell me something quickly you can do.
Give it to your dog and laugh.
That's funny. Peanut butter.
You can.
Yeah, there's got to be something you can do.
Peanut butter and jelly deep fried sandwich.
Seriously.
Yeah, you can take a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's your traditional peanut butter jelly sandwich. You crimp the ends and deep fry.
Yeah.
Man, yeah. I envision it right now.
My wife and daughters always make the peanut butter balls.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Frosted flakes with peanut butter balled up and oven roasted.
Oh man, it's supper time for me. I'm gonna go hunt something to eat. Well, listen, we've had the Macklemore Boys on with us. We'll be watching this Friday on Fox and Friends for you guys. Thank you so much for coming on our program. It's been our joy and our pleasure, and we look forward to talking to you again real soon. Okay.
Absolutely. Thanks.